People of the internet, we are back from my little crusade, and once again, we are looking at the Rogan sphere, and 2Lazy2Try's Tony Hinchcliffe humiliates himself in front of Bill Maher. Now, I listened to this episode yesterday while gaming, so we're going to see if what 2Lazy2Try is saying adds up. So grab your coffee, grab your joint, here we go.
All right, so Tony Hinchcliffe was just on Bill Maher's podcast, and this has to be one of the only times Tony's done a podcast with a comedian that's more arrogant and egotistical than him. So it was interesting. I mean, this podcast, it was kind of like Kill Tony with Tony as the open micer. I mean, Bill was even making fun of Tony's comedy. Right in the beginning, he put Tony on the spot, and he was sarcastically being like, oh no, it's this scary insult comic. Should I be worried? Then he asked Tony to do some crowd work and roast him, and Tony bombed. And then
Wait. That is not what happened at all. See, this is the problem with these guys sometimes, is they want to make these people look so bad so people click on their videos and watch, but that they're not being fair. I am the most fair comedy critiquer out there. I don't go after anybody that doesn't deserve it, and I certainly don't stretch the truth to make these guys look bad. Because if you want to know what really happened on this whole thing, is Tony went on there, Bill Maher was like, oh, so scary, insult comic, right? And Tony was like, no, not you, Bill Maher. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to insult Bill Maher. Maybe he had respect, maybe he wasn't in the mood, but he didn't do it. But what he did do, which I'm sure that if I press play, they don't show, is he told Bill Maher, hey, you were at the comedy store in LA on a special night. And he was like, what? He's like, yeah, because this girl became a paid regular right before your eyes, and you probably didn't even know it. Something to that effect. But he praised this other girl that became a paid regular. But let's see what he shows. But watch, I guarantee you won't. He said Tony's bombing. I guarantee you won't see a bombing.
and Bill roasted him the rest of the podcast.
A pleasure to meet you.
Oh, the insult comic. I can feel the barbs coming. Should I not sit in the front row?
No, you're safe. You're
if
safe.
I'm in the front row, am I going to get spritzed with the comic barbs? You're not going to ask me where I'm from?
No crowd work on you.
No, come on. Do some crowd work. Ask me where I'm from.
If you want to
Wait, where was Tony bombing? Now let's look at the real clip.
With the comic barbs. You're not going to ask me where I'm from?
No crowd work on you.
No, come on. Do some crowd work. Ask me where I'm from.
Where are you from?
New Jersey. Come on. There's a slow pitch down the middle of the plate, bro. New Jersey.
That is a shithole, indeed.
Well, come on, you could do better than the shithole, isn't that what you're
Maybe I'll
famous
warm up.
for?
I like to feel the people and know them a little bit better than just straight up.
Do you see sometimes how these people are stretching? Tony didn't bomb. Tony's been having it rough lately. He had a failed Netflix episode, all of this, and he's had it rough. This is why you've got to watch these things for yourself sometimes, because if you continue on, you will see, don't take my word for it, watch it yourself, you will see Tony praise that girl at the comedy store. Maybe let's scroll ahead a little bit.
And so it happened, and somehow, coincidentally, on that night, a comedian or whoever was supposed to go up wasn't there, and there was a young lady who we all know, Nicole Buchanan, sitting in the...
Now, 2Lazy2Try, I would like to say that was incredibly disingenuous of you. You were trying to make something out of nothing, because I could tell you, this episode, the only things they struck me, they talk about ghosts. I thought I wanted to talk about how they were talking about ghosts. Tony does this story, how he's in the comedy store and he sees this ghost, and then this other guy comes out like all shaken, and Tony's just trying not to say anything. He's all, what happened? And the guy's like, you won't believe it. And they saw a ghost. And then Bill Maher says, oh, maybe it was aliens. And it was like kind of an interesting conversation for these two like super arrogant guys to have. So I just think this whole thing that 2Lazy2Try did right here was very disingenuous. And you see he cut off the clip because there was no bombing. I just don't like that. Look, if you're not fair, people won't be fair to you. It's like, if you can't be fair and honest to people, you shouldn't get fair and honesty back. You shouldn't ask for it because you're being disingenuous. Like, you have to allow people to make mistakes. You have to allow people to come back from their mistakes. You know, that is a part of being a human. And it's really, and it just annoys the shit out of me that sometimes people are really disingenuous so their video gets more clicks and more views. It's just my thought. You notice he's not playing the rest of the clip here, right? he's going to play some Joe Rogan thing that has nothing to do with this.
Insult comic. Tony is the best in the world.
His great specialty is roasting.
Right.
He's the best roaster ever.
Where are you from?
New Jersey. Come on. There's a slow pitch down the middle of the plate, bro. New Jersey?
That is a shithole, indeed.
Well, come on, you could do better than a shithole, isn't that what you're
Maybe I'll
famous?
warm up. I learned that early
Are you
on.
married?
No,
Never been married.
no. Well, I was married for a short period of time.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, that's right.
No, I'm high as shit, but I was married for a
I'm
couple
high as
years.
shit, and I forgot marriage.
Yeah, where I grew up in Youngstown, Ohio, a very, very at the time dangerous.
But the most dangerous neighborhood in America is Appalachia.
Where's that? What do you mean? The city or the place?
It's not a city.
Yeah, like in the mountains. What do you mean?
Jesus, didn't you go to high school?
Yeah.
And Tony said he grew up.
Yeah, this is a nothing burger. This was just them bantering and going back. Like, here's the thing. Bill was trying to press him to get his buttons, but Tony wasn't doing it. And like Appalachia, yeah, please, Bill Maher, tell us where Appalachia is. What do you mean, in North Carolina, West Virginia? What part? What city? Like, it's just Appalachia. Like, that's a region. Like, what are you talking about? And I'm sorry, there's more dangerous cities than that. Trust me.
Up watching Bill and is a fan, so maybe he's just nervous because he seems scared to offend him or get in an argument with him, and he just let Bill walk all over him. You know, because if you're gonna do this,
Yo, Bill did not walk all over him. This is so fucking frustrating. How can you say this? Bill did not. Tony just didn't bite. Tony didn't want to play that game. Look, Tony got on the podcast to do a podcast. Bill Maher's an arrogant prick that wants to push buttons because he's an old senile man that just doesn't get it. And plus, look at how little he is. I'm not going to go on that point. You just know how these men act. They're arrogant, they're assholes, and they're always trying to bark and bite at people taller than them. And I just think that that's what it was. 2Lazy2Try is making a big deal out of this because we played the clip. It's not that big of a deal. He actually goes on to praise somebody. It's why didn't you highlight that? Dude, I'm getting sick of this shit.
this podcast, you got to be more aggressive, or else he's just going to dominate the conversation and interrupt constantly and talk down to you, which is what happened here. You know, Tony didn't stand a chance, and he clearly just wanted Bill to like him, but it seemed like Bill just kind of thought he was a goofball, and he kept laughing at him. I mean, at one point, Tony was talking about his Puerto Rico joke controversy, and Bill thought it was the funniest shit ever, because Tony said going into that, he's really hoping to impress Trump. But of course, afterwards, Trump wanted nothing to do with him, even though now that Trump has won, I'm sure he doesn't care as much. But Bill thinks his story's hilarious, and he just had dinner with Trump. So he's like, isn't it crazy you kiss Trump's ass and perform for him for free? And he pretends like he doesn't know you, but I trash him nonstop for like almost a decade, and I get invited to the White House.
A silly performance on the Tom Brady roast or whatever. It was
Right.
also to fucking have the president go, that was cool. Thanks, man. That's
Okay.
awesome. I liked your set. You got the crowd going. Which, by the way, I did. Of course, that room isn't mic'd for
Did
a
he say that all
comedy
that to
show.
you?
No, he didn't. I didn't get to talk to him that day.
Yeah, there's also some context to this. He got to it. But the context before this, see, this is why you got to watch these things. The context before this, and I'm not defending Tony. I'm just trying to be fair, because imagine if that was you up there and somebody just totally like, for no reason. The thing is they were talking about the Puerto Rico choke and the floating pile of trash, and Bill Maher was agreeing with him on the trash. He's like, oh yeah, I talk about that too. Watch the clip, boys. And then it was just like, yeah. And then there's a part where Bill Maher goes like, yeah, it wasn't like a good joke and it kind of missed the mark. He says that. And then they talk about all this, but it's just like, you got to have context. I don't think we should be disingenuous. This video has been completely disingenuous. And I think it's like, sometimes, here's the thing, right? When I was on my little crusade, people kept messaging me or saying to me on live stream, like, I can't wait till we see your reaction to Tony versus Bill Maher. So I thought I was going to come into it and there was going to be some slam dunks. And yeah, there's these little moments where you could say something, but it didn't turn out like that at all. It was kind of like, I was just sitting there like, should I make? I was like, I wanted to talk about the ghosts and the alien thing, but I just couldn't be unfair. And I think this is really unfair.
Somebody said there was a comedian that joked about Puerto Rico or something, and I have no idea who he was. Never saw him, never heard of him, and don't want to hear of him.
You must feel so bad about that. You go and you're for him and you're working for him and you like him and me, nothing but vitriol for 10 years, and I get the invite.
Isn't it wild?
So Kill Tony open micers probably enjoyed this episode because Bill kept roasting Tony and talking down to him, just like Tony does to them. And Tony also just seemed completely out of his element here. Like, usually he's trying to be as offensive as possible and he doesn't hold back, especially if he's with another comedian and they're going at him. But during this, he was just trying to be as diplomatic as possible, which it did help a little bit. You know, people in the comments are like, wow, Tony's got a lot of patience. But it was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, look, that is what, like, instead of trying to find all this bullshit stuff to make Tony look bad, he does it himself, right? Tony actually was being respectful of Bill Maher and patient. Bill Maher talks down to everybody. It ain't like Tony just walked in the room and he decided. Bill Maher talks down to everybody. Like, I just don't understand. Do you want Tony to fail so bad that you got to make these videos like this? Like, be honest. Like, this was actually Tony not being a dick. Like, can we just give him a little bit of credit? I am all for giving people credit when credit is due. You can't do that, because if you don't do that, you shouldn't expect the same to you. It's just crazy that this is looked over. I think Tony did a really good job. And yeah, this was right at the beginning, right? But then they get into these interesting stories. And I think it was okay. You know, it wasn't something I would regularly listen to, but I don't think it's like, let's make a Tony hate video. It just drives me nuts when people are disingenuous.
I mean, it's always great seeing someone roast Bill Maher, and Bill even wanted Tony to, but the whole time it was just Bill making fun of him and calling him out. I mean, there's so many times Tony would say something and Bill would be like, no, you're wrong. And Tony would just laugh or not say anything or just concede right away. So he seems really nervous around Bill, and I don't know if it's because he's intimidated by him or he's starstruck and he wants Bill to like him or he wants Bill on Kill Tony or something, but he did not seem prepared for this. I mean, everybody knows Bill is obnoxious and stuck up and he just wants to listen to himself talk. So this isn't very surprising. You know, this is classic Bill Maher here. Like, you know, he's going to try to talk down to you and constantly interrupt you to talk about himself or Trump, which is really annoying, but you know what you're going to get with him. I mean, this isn't.
Look, just because you know what you're going to get with somebody doesn't mean you got to go in there and roast them. Here's the problem with what 2Lazy2Try is feeling. 2Lazy2Try wanted a new video. 2Lazy2Try wanted Tony to dunk on Bill Maher. People want Bill Maher to fail more probably than Tony, because Bill Maher's just a senile, stupid old man that just thinks he's the shit, right? And the problem here is because 2Lazy2Try didn't get what he wanted, now he's trying to make it out like Tony failed. Like, no, Tony was actually really good, patient. And you know what the main problem, what I wanted this video to be about, besides the ghosts, was that Bill Maher interrupts him every 2 seconds. Tony be like, well, you know, Bill, I'm just not happy. I'm not happy with this video because I think it's really unfair, and you shouldn't be like this way to people that don't deserve it.
A surprise that he's acting like this. So you kind of.
We know Tony deserves a lot, but I mean, if you based it on the merit of this one interview, I don't think Tony is deserving a bit. I don't think Tony humiliated himself like this title at all. It's just wild. It's wild how far this guy's reaching right now.
Kind of have to try to put him in his place a little, like Bill Burr and some other comedians. He's known for being an insult comic, so Bill was probably expecting to have some banter with him, but Tony didn't roast Bill at all, and he just let him say whatever. I mean, Bill kept trashing Trump supporters like Tony, but Tony would just laugh at it and not really have any response.
Exactly. I don't want to talk about politics. People trash things that I may not agree with in politics all the time, but who wants to fucking talk about politics? Like, maybe Tony is learning some class. Maybe he is learning to have some manners. And here's the best thing. When someone is a fucking idiot, the best thing you could do is be silent and don't play into it. because you can't win with these guys, especially on Bill Maher's show. You can't win. The thing is too lazy to try. It's just like, it's like when you make content creators, you get all these random people out there. It's like, you should have done it like this, or I want you to make film like this, or I'm not following you anymore because you're not doing things like I wanted. And that's too lazy to try right now. Too lazy to try is like, you didn't put Bill Maher in his place and I'm mad. It's obnoxious. You shouldn't do this.
And at one point, it seemed like Bill was expecting Tony to respond by insulting him back, because obviously that's what Tony's known for, and he would do that to anybody else that says something like this. But when Bill basically calls Trump supporters crazy, he's waiting for Tony to respond, and he thinks he's probably going to insult him, so he's like, and whatever you're about to say, I am that. You know, he probably thinks he's going to call him a libtard or something. But then Tony's like, that's why I think you're a centrist. And Bill's all surprised, and he's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll take that.
If you take away Cornell University, it's Appalachia. It's like fucking hillbillies. Very rural, very out in the country, very Trump country. I'm not equating the two necessarily. Okay, but like,
you know, being a Trumper isn't, what you're calling a Trumper isn't that crazy. I mean, he did win the popular vote.
that doesn't mean it's not crazy. That does not. Those two things are not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
That's fine. Look, you've been talking to me for what, an hour and a half?
Yeah.
Do I seem like a guy who hates you because you voted?
No, and I'm the same way.
And I never will
That's
be.
why I think
Exactly.
you're,
I
believe
am.
it or not,
Whatever
a
you're going to say,
centrist.
I am.
I think you're.
Oh, I am.
Yeah.
I think this is a class act from Tony. What a way. Look, we all know that fighting with people over politics gets you nowhere, does you nothing. You think you're going to change Bill Maher's mind on Trump people? No, then why? Who cares? He's allowed to have his personal beliefs. This is why I don't talk about politics, because it's fucking stupid. Like, on any given day, you could find 10, 20 things to be mad about Republicans and 10, 20 things to be a Democrat. Like, every day, you could spend your whole life mad at, oh, the senator did this, the president did this, the head of the Supreme Court did this, blah, blah, blah. But there goes your life wasted on talking about politics. Now, him finding a middle ground, refusing not to argue, it's not humiliating, like Too Lazy to Try is saying. It is not humiliating at all. In fact, it is very classy. Very classy. You know, growing up in my 20s, boy, I just wanted to run my mouth and try and make everyone wrong and feel my point. And you know what that did? It pushed people away from me when I did that. When I met people and then they brought up politics and then I tried to slam dunk, let's say we didn't become friends, and I've had the same thing happen to me, and you've probably had the same thing happen to you. Why are you trying to dunk on Tony when he was being a class act on this? He just met him in the middle and he complimented him instead of insulted him. Isn't that what we should be doing anyways? I just find this very hard to believe that you're willing to make a video when it is very disingenuous like this. It is very disingenuous. I think this is really bad.
I'm
And I
center
think
left.
I am too, believe it or not.
I am, well, I am center left.
And Tony spent a lot of time trying to pander to Bill by talking about how he understands Bill and he got all his political opinions from him. And Tony keeps trying to explain that him, Rogan, and Elon Musk are all centrists, but Bill's not having it, which Tony probably didn't expect because, again, he has no response. And he just keeps repeating himself and calling himself a centrist. Like, for some reason, he does not want Bill to think he's right-wing.
At least from my perception, centrist we are. I've been watching you for
I
my
don't-
whole life, by the way. My mom always made sure we had HBO, even though
Oh,
I was
good.
raised poor. So I kind of get you, and
Now, see that right there, that statement, I could talk about that statement, because if you was raised up poor, there ain't no motherfucking way you had HBO, because if you had to have HBO back in the 90s, late 80s, you had to get cable. And we wasn't getting cable neither. I think we had cable on and on. Like, you know, when mom got a Christmas bonus or got a couple $100 extra bucks, you know what I mean? You get cable for like 3 months and then that shit cut off. Or if you could reroute it from somebody else's house or connect on, you could get it. But I call bullshit on that one. Because if you poor, you certainly don't have cable. You probably don't even have a good antenna. You know what I mean?
It's crazy that I'm considered a right winger, or that Rogan is, or that Elon is, and these
Well,
people.
anybody, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
anybody who is a Trumper, it's a different mindset.
I'm not kissing your ass. I've been a fan forever. I mean, all my initial politics and everything of anything about politics was through
No,
you.
I
It's like we're all.
You see, he cut Bill Maher off. It would be interesting. I don't remember what he said, but interesting what Bill Maher would say. Dude, the whole thing is this episode should be about is Bill Maher's a giant prick. I just don't see. I don't think Tony's perfect, and we get it. The way he acts on Kill Tony and the way he treats people and his arrogance justly deserve all the criticism on this. But on this one, I think this shows a sign of maturity, or maybe that Tony's starting to realize that this fucking arrogant prick thing isn't all it's cut out to be. Because if you become an arrogant prick, there'll be times in your life where you can act like an arrogant prick, and that'll make you feel like, woo, and you'll see the repercussions of that. And hopefully you'll be like, or you could be an arrogant prick and be stuck in your ways. And then over time you turn into Bill Maher. And like, I guarantee Bill Maher doesn't have any friends. Bill Maher hates himself. Bill Maher doesn't have a woman. No woman wants to be around a man with arrogance. Women do not like arrogance. They may like it for a night or two, but at the end of the day, women like confidence, not arrogance, because arrogance is false. It is like throwing up a facade, and when you pull the facade away, it's not there. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time with this one.
Pot smoking, pro-choice. If you're gonna call us far-right crazy people, you have to realize we're all formerly registered Democrat voters, and so is Rogan, and so is Elon, and so is Trump. All these people are famously old Democrats.
Okay, but that's not where we are now. They're not Democrats now.
And here's the thing. Who cares if they're not Democrats? Who cares if they're not Republicans? People are allowed to make their own choices. And it's true. The popular vote went to Trump this time, and Bill Maher, being a Democrat, can't handle that fact. That is just what it is. The Democrats can't handle the fact. Just like the Republicans couldn't handle the fact of Biden. Look, I am very fair, even when it comes to politics. I used to not be, but you have to realize that all politics is a fucking sham. Start from there. And then you can see, oh, this guy and this guy are doing this to create deal. But behind closed door, they're all getting rich together. Tell me I'm wrong, because that's the truth. So, like, why does it matter if someone is not a Republican or a Democrat? Who the fuck cares? You know, in the span of your life, being a Republican or a Democrat is going to be one of the very least of your problems, right? Bills, your car breaking down, having to work overtime because you got a surprise $800 electricity bill, having to ask your parents for money in times of struggle, stuff like that. Those are the things you're going to go through. Not like, oh, Republican or Democrat, right? You know, it just doesn't matter. And like, the thing is men in their 20s and women in their 20s just get groomed with this politics thing. And at the end of the day, you're just trying to learn how to survive. And politics plays a very, very little role in your life, because last time I checked, a politician ain't never done what they said they were going to do. But they've always been rich as fuck at the end of their presidency or their political term. I know that. They're good at making money, not doing what they say they will do.
I understand why the Democratic Party gives them the heebie-jeebies. That's different than being all in on Trump, which they are.
Yeah, so Tony's just such a kiss ass. It's hilarious. Like, he wants Bill to like him so much. He's trying to convince him that they have the same political views. But Bill's just like, no, we don't. Don't lump me in with you, Rogan and Elon. So Tony was just trying way too hard to pander to Bill, and it was embarrassing. And it's just like with him and Trump.
It really wasn't.
He wanted Trump to like him so badly. He got carried away with it and ended up blowing it. And now he wants Bill to like him, and he's just embarrassing himself again. Like,
look. I don't even think it's about Bill liking him. I think it's just about keeping the peace with Bill. Here's the thing. Have you seen the disasters that happen on Bill's show? When you go in or you play his game, it's utter disaster. Tony can't afford another clip like that. Tony doesn't want any more shit than he's already getting. Like, imagine the pressure he has on himself. He's got a special coming up. His first Netflix special just didn't do as well as everybody thought it was going to do. And he's got to do 3 more or 2 more in his special. Like, he's had this fucking Puerto Rico shit hanging over him for the past 6 months. He wants to go in there and have a conversation. I don't think it's a bad thing when you refuse to be an asshole because somebody wants you to. I don't think it's a bad thing. And I just don't understand why these people like want this to happen. I don't understand. It's crazy. It really is crazy. Why when we're making these YouTube videos, so desperate to make something out to what it isn't?
Like, also, he tried to explain to Bill how the 2020 election might have been rigged. And Bill looks at him like he's crazy. And he's like, are you serious? And of course, Tony starts to backpedal. And he's like, well, I'm not saying I believe that. So he's really cautious when he's talking about this stuff with Bill. Like, also, Bill asks him if he believes in Pizzagate. And Tony's like, no, that's a really fringe theory. But I feel like he's only saying this because he doesn't want Bill to think he's crazy. You know, around Bill, he seems to tone everything down a lot. And he just wants Bill to like him.
Because they don't accept.
No, Bill's a dick. Bill's an insecure man that has nothing going for him. So he just starts fights with people for no goddamn reason. That's what Bill does. And I wouldn't play into it either. Sure, I could dust Bill off. I mean, me just walking in the room and looking down at him would dust him off. But why? Why be a dick when you don't have to? This guy's a dick. Bill Maher's a dick. Why play into his game? Why? Why do it? Really? It makes no sense. I think 2Lazy2Try is just offended that Bill Maher didn't get wiped on the floor. And now he's sad making a video about it. I just think this is really disingenuous.
Election results. Nothing is more important to me than that. You have to accept election results. That's the basis of everything.
Right.
And they're not there.
Yeah. You have no thoughts about the fact that perhaps because, you know, it was a lockdown and everything that, and, you know, extra reviewers, you know, like from both sides could be in the voting areas and stuff, you know.
You're still saying the 2020 election was not fair? Because even his own security team said it was fair.
I get it.
A lot of Republicans have. I mean,
Right.
that's a dead horse that you got to stop beating.
Both sides have done the unfair election results, right? Both sides. Do y'all remember the hanging Chad with Al Gore and Bill when who is it? Bush? Like, come on. They were even saying the same thing when Trump won this time. It's both sides do it. Bill Maher is just a fucking loser. It's like, Tony, why'd you even go on? Who fuck goes on this show anyways? It's so lame. Like, who cares about Bill Maher? He may have had some good takes years ago, but this guy is way beyond senile. And hopefully, like, someone just pushes him in the closet and doesn't let him make any more TV shows. He's coming towards the end of his life. He needs to get his dick sucked finally, because I don't think after 70 years Bill Maher's ever had his dick sucked.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that I think that, but there were a lot of votes that didn't vote this year, and those votes were for the left.
Well, he lost. He ran 3 times. He lost 1 and won 2. That's pretty good. They're going to compare this to like Hillary ran a file ring out of a pizza parlor. Now, Tony, you don't really believe Hillary did run a... Okay, good. Because a lot of Trumpers do. See, this is why people have some reason to be suspicious.
That's the farthest extreme of the...
It's not
of the Trump side of things.
Really, what percentage of people who...
See, look, this is the same guy that goes on about Pizzagate, right? He's like, oh, Pizzagate is so crazy and the Trumpers, but you're the same person that cried about woke culture. Dude, both sides have extremes, man. Both sides have extremes. There's people on the left that dress up as trans furry animals. What the fuck is that? And then there's people on the right that are in QAnon and think some man on a forum is controlling the world. Come on, guys. Like, Bill Maher's so insecure. He has so little in himself to be proud of that he loves tearing down other people. And I just think I don't think Tony wanted to play that game. I wouldn't either. I'd be like, bitch, shut the fuck up. You want to talk about politics, then I'm going to leave. I don't have to be on your show with your fucking 1980s couch. Get the fuck out of here.
Voted for Donald Trump or let's put it this way. What percentage of people in the administration You don't think people like Pete Hegseth and Linda McMahon and I don't know, some of these people, Pam Bondi, you don't think they believe in things like that?
Yeah, so I guess that's what a podcast with two of the most insufferable comedians is like. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know who you think was more annoying. And if you want to hear about the time Shane Gillis realized Tony's ego was completely out of control and how he keeps roasting Tony whenever he goes on Kill Tony, or if you want to hear about when Mark Zuckerberg tried to suck up to Joe Rogan and his audience and failed miserably and embarrassed himself, those videos plus probably 130 other exclusive ones are over on Patreon. So if you like the channel, if you're a fan of the content and want extra content, make sure you check it out. It's definitely worth it. I'll put a link in the description.
This is the most horseshit video this guy's ever made. Bro, you see that there was nothing really to talk about. He was reaching. There was nothing because Tony kept his ego in check and let Bill Maher run his ego everywhere. If anything, it's Bill Maher looks by. Dude, Too Lazy to Try, this is the most shit-ass video you ever made. How about trying being honest next time and not reaching for content because it was your day to make something? This is utter bullshit, bro. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Bye.
Don't stay.